Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and today I'm participating in a blog hop to celebrate the Studio Katia September release. Tons of new stamps and wafer dies and stencils and bling, all that fun stuff has been released. But of course, I went for the Halloween goodies. Not quite ready to go full on into Christmas yet, but so many things. So many, but this little set was just calling my name. This is the Monster Bash stamp set. What I really loved about this is it can be Halloween, but you could totally use it for like little birthday cards. There's like a get well soon sentiment, you know, so these could be like little greeblies, little germies or whatever too. So I like that. I like things that are Halloween but can be for anything. So I stamped some of the little monsters from the set onto some Neenah Classic Crest Solar White 80-pound cardstock with Simon's Intense Black ink. And then I am coloring them in with Copic Markers, doing them in Halloween colors, of course. In my head, like I purposely have the sequin mix I'm going to use sitting here as if I needed a, you know, reminder of purples and orange and black. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyway, these are basically my go-to combos for Halloween, but they're also just my go-tos. Like when I reach for greens, this is the green combo I use. When I'm doing either a very dark gray or trying to do black, this is the, you know, the grays I use. With the purple, I did actually add this V09, that was the darkest one, and I kind of like that. It just gave it a little bit more depth, because usually I'll just use like the V17 and V15, just those two, but adding the V09 just, like I said, it intensified, it deepened it a fair bit, and I really like that combo. So I use that, and then my orange, this has been my go-to orange combo since like I first started using Copics, basically. My YR09, 07, and 04. That is like the perfect Halloween orange. It's just a nice bright orange, you know, when it's carrots, whatever needs to be colored orange, this is generally the color combo I reach for. So the coloring was really, really simple. I just worked darkest to lightest. These cute little images, you know, keeping them just fun and kind of mixing up, you know, adding orange to this one, adding purple to this one, whatever. That first little green monster, I decided that little like antenna, whatever you want to call it, just put purple on top of it because I just wanted to, you know, add a little more color to him so it wasn't completely green. And then I went in with my white gel pen and just added a few little highlights with those ones on either end because they look like they're almost like furry or spiky. I didn't do smooth lines. I just kind of squiggled the gel pen here and there onto it just to add, again, more texture, more fun to them. So once that was done and the gel pen has dried, I taped the coordinating wafer dies into place and then die cut those. And then for my card front, I'm using the new spiderweb wafer die from Studio Katia. And I die cut it first from just some black cardstock. And that creates basically my window. And it's really hard to see on camera because it's black and, you know, it doesn't really pick up. But around the perimeter of that die, there's little piercing holes, which I just love. It just gives it that little extra texture. So that's going to be my card front. And I stamped the Happy Halloween sentiment onto it with just Simon's clear embossing ink. And then I was going to white heat emboss this, but because I'm going to do some sponging with white ink, I changed my mind at the last second and used the Wendy Vecchi leaf green embossing powder. So that's heat embossed with the green, plus it, you know, it matches so well with that green color combo that I colored a little monster with. And happy accident, I discovered that the wafer die and the new Studio Katia spiderweb stencil are like the same, I don't know, you wouldn't call it like the same shape. Well, that inner portion of it, they're the same shape. Like they just go together seamlessly, and that just made my day. So I lined the stencil up over this piece of black cardstock and lined it up with the opening so that everything just looks seamless, and you can tell better once I'm done the sponging. And I pulled up my Hero Arts Unicorn White Pigment ink and just very lightly sponged this over the stencil. I don't want to completely, you know, get a white effect. I just want that nice bit of shading so you can see the spiderweb. And the way it just continues from the die cut window onto the cardstock, this just made me happy. I should have included the the sound when before I did my voice over here, because when I peeled off the stencil, I was like, oh yes, like this is so perfect. So I have that, And then I cut down a piece of just some transparency just to be slightly smaller than this black cardstock. And I'm going to adhere that into place just with a little bit of score tape here. So just running that along the back of the cardstock. And then I can press the transparency into place, and that's going to create my window. So I could leave it like this. You know, you have the window opening. It's obvious it's a web thanks to the sponging, etc. But this wafer die not only cuts obviously the opening, but it cuts the web, which you can see kind of in the upper left of my screen. And I had die cut that from some Simon Black Glitter cardstock. Just why not? So I wanted to adhere that over that window. So I'm just going to use some multimedia matte adhesive and just add a little really thin amount to the back of this glittery web. Don't want to add too much because I don't want it oozing out. And then I'm going to line that up on the transparency there and adhere that to my window. So I've got this really cool, you know, window web effect going on here. So after I did that, to make this into a shaker card, I just grabbed my Scotch foam tape and doubled this up into a nice long length. So it is 2 layers thick. And once I've got that doubled up, I can add that to the back of this black cardstock. Really simple with this one because there was enough space all around that I don't have to like trim down the foam tape or, you know, do anything weird. Just simple straight lines, which is what I love when I'm making shaker cards. Like the less fiddling, the better. So I just butted these up against each other so that there's very little space because the sequin mix does have a few little microbeads in it. So I just kind of want to make sure everything's butted up nicely against each other. So I'm going to apply all of my foam tape here so it's all nice and popped up. You can't see it through the window. And then for the shaker mix, like I had mentioned, I'm using the newly released Wicked sequin mix from Studio Katia. So sprinkled that in. I pulled out the cat sequins at first, but then I put them back in because I liked them. So there's like all the like sequins, and then there's some pumpkins in the mix. There's these little black cat sequins, which are adorable. So I put a couple of those back and then the rest back in the bag to use for a future project. So it was fairly generous with the sequins because I really wanted those to show up inside this shaker. And then to back that, I just have some gray and white polka dot pattern paper. That's from the MFT ITSY BITSY polka dots 6x6 pack. I just thought the gray was kind of a nice neutral to let, you know, all the Halloween colors pop. So I've backed that. So now I have my little shaker element here. And that black cardstock, by the way, was about a little over 4 inches. It's like 4 1/8 inches square roughly. So I've got, you know, everything created. It's sponged, it's heat embossed, it's made into a window. So I'm going to adhere 3 of these little monsters here and decided to tuck one of them like right in there, right into the little web. And then the other 2, I'm going to adhere to just the outside of this card using that multimedia matte adhesive because it was sitting there inconvenient. And I saved that the 4th little monster with the really big eyes. He's going to go on the inside because there's a sentiment in this set that I just thought was perfect with him. So I got those adhered. And then my card base is heavyweight white cardstock. And I'd cut that to 4 1/4 by 8 1/2. So it is a top folding 4 1/4 inch square card. So I'm going to line that up into my stamp platform again here. And then I'm going to line up the sentiment. And there was this little outline that spiderweb die cuts as well. You know, it cuts the window, it cuts a really little outline like that, and then it cuts the web. And since it was that glitter cardstock, I didn't want to discard it. So I decided to use it on the inside of the card just to kind of frame the sentiment and this little monster. So I stamped the sentiment so it says, I think you're cute, you know, EYEI, I think you're cute. So stamp that, and then I'm going to adhere that little frame or burst or whatever you want to call it. It's basically like a spiderweb shaped frame. So I'm going to adhere that, and then I'm going to adhere that little monster with the 3 big eyes right underneath that. So adhere that into place. And then to adhere the shaker card front to my card base, I just put more score tape on the back of this. Just a really good strong adhesive. Peeled off this backing, and then I can pop this into place. And that's going to finish off this card. So really fun. Just fun. I love shaker cards. It's one of the easiest interactive cards to make, in my opinion. And of course, you can always shake it. Always fun. So, like I said, this is part of a blog hop, so there will be info in my blog post. There's giveaways, all that fun stuff. So definitely check out my blog post. I'll have that link directly below the video. Thank you all so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping and commenting on my videos. I really, really appreciate it. I will see you all very soon in the next one. Bye.